locker room.
Yeah.
Well, considerate fellow.
He'll be your best side.
The back.
That's all
They're
right.
off my dome.
Yeah, you good? How about?
Questions? Oh, sorry. Questions are what you said. All right, what do you know about Stephen F. Austin?
Just started watching them last night when we got back. They've got a great team. Obviously, anytime somebody wins 28 games in a row, they're doing a lot of things right. Coach Underwood has those guys playing together. They're very, very connected as a group. Just by watching them, you can see that they are on the same page for winning. And then they have, really talented players as well. I mean, that's a common denominator for all really good teams. So, for us, it'll be a heck of a challenge, and, we'll take the next few days to really teach our guys, about Stephen F. Austin and about their personnel and what they do on offense and on defense.
Coach, how do you go about even just gathering information on an opponent like this?
Just watching tape and talking to people in their league, talking to people that have played them in non-conference play, and just gathering intel any way you can.
Is it a benefit? I mean, how much of a benefit is 28-game winning streak? Because, on Twitter and stuff, people are like, oh, yeah, but look who they played. They didn't play anybody and all that stuff. To make sure your guys don't discount them because they've never heard them or whatever. 28 games is 28 games.
Yeah, I think, that winning streak gets your attention. I started voting for these guys in the top 25 3-4 weeks ago because they were winning all these games. I think sometimes in basketball we overthink things. You're trying to win, and that's what they've done since, I think that the last game they lost was middle of November. So, it's pretty impressive what they've done, along with Wichita State and now what Florida's doing. When you win that many games in a row and are able to keep your team playing at a high level, that's very rare.
From what you've seen on film, how would you kind of describe their offense?
Well, they have a unique offense that they do a really good job of cutting and screening and moving the basketball. They work well together. They have great spacing in their offense. They're a team that's challenging to guard. They've got a lot of different guys that can shoot. So, if you help too much on certain guys, they're going to make you pay shooting the basketball. They have a team that they share the ball. So they're not really out there looking for their own offense all the time. They're looking to create a team score, whether it's them or someone else. And that's the mark of a good team on offense.
About
Size? They play a smaller team. They clearly you can see that they've made a commitment to playing with skilled guys that might be a little bit smaller, particularly up front, but they have toughness. So sometimes size is overrated relative to how tough you are at your position, and they have some tough guys that play on their front line, and we're a smaller team too, so I think that'll certainly make for an interesting matchup.
Do you remind you of anybody that you saw on film this year in the common opponent?
Not really. I mean, they're unique. I think they remind me to some extent of not necessarily this year, but Rick Byrd's Belmont's teams in terms of just the way they're able to shoot and pass the basketball at a very, very high level. Again, different personnel, and I'm not saying that they're like them this year, but that's a team that we're familiar with, that we've played, and we understand how well that they shoot the ball, how well they pass the ball and share the ball and work together. So just in the limited tape I've seen so far, It's probably the best comparison I could come up with.
When you're the smaller team, you've been the smaller team before, you mentioned, what are some things the smaller team tries to do to gain an advantage or to negate the advantage the taller team will have?
Well, they play with great toughness. Like I said, they play with a lot of aggressiveness. They really do a great job in offensive glass, even though they don't have the biggest lineup out there. They rebound close to 40% of their misses, which is terrific. So that's just want to and toughness and desire. And the other thing is I think that they have a group of guys that have winning experience. They were a very, very good team last year. They've taken it to another level this year with 28-game winning streak and going undefeated in their league. But those guys that have been there for a couple of years now, they have winning experience, and they've played good teams over the course of those 2 years. So they're not going to be afraid or back down from anyone.
When other coaches call you, when you call other coaches to get information, I guess when they call you, how do you balance, respecting your opponents against opening up the book, and how much do you open up your scouting report and give?
I mean, it's kind of I don't know if it's a written rule, but you're really not supposed to give out much on your league. So the only thing that I really do if people call about teams in our league is, maybe talk to them on the phone just in general about, generic stuff about a team, but we don't give them our scouting report or it used to be tape was a big deal. Can we get the tape? But nowadays, everything's online on Synergy, and you can get pretty much any game on anyone. So that's not really a big deal anymore.
Where were you guys yesterday when you found out where you were going and who you were playing?
We went back to our hotel. We planned on doing that either way, just to watch the selection show and then head out.
How much different was that yesterday than it was, say, in 2011 when, has the excitement level of seeing your name withered at all, or?
For me or for the players?
Both.
No, one thing that, and I forgot about this from last year, but it reminded me yesterday because it was the exact same feeling. We were disappointed, obviously, with the result of the game, and a little down and upset, and so we were all sitting in the room, and we had this big room where we were watching the selection show, and it's pretty quiet in there. Not a lot of people were saying much, but then when our name came up in our seed, our guys went nuts, and everyone yelled and screamed. So no, it hasn't withered, I think, at all. And one thing we don't talk about a lot is we have a lot of new guys on our team that have never been to the NCAA tournament. So Jaquan Lewis, Jordan Burgess, Mo Ali Cox, Jarris Lyles, Doug Brooks, Torrey, and Travius, Emerson. So these guys, it's their first time, and it's something that as a kid you watch growing up, and now you're part of a team that you see your name get called, and I think that's exciting.
Do you think they understand that the specter of your program has changed so much in 4 years? You guys went from being kind of unknown and sneaking into the tournament in 11 and getting to the Final Four and becoming the darlings of America, to kind of expecting to get there every year, winning a game every year. Do you think the guys that aren't Rob and Javonte kind of understand how much different it might be now than it was then?
No. I don't think they have much of a feel for that at all. I just think when you're that age, it's very difficult to have a level of perspective if you haven't been around. And Rob and Ju have a little bit more, but even they've been to the tournament every year they've been here. So sometimes it takes having not been there, having gone through the CBI or stuff like that to give you that perspective. So that's something that we, are going to have to continue working really hard at moving forward to get our guys to continue to learn more about the fact that this is not a given. And, I told them, yesterday when we got back, you guys earned this 5 seed, and you guys worked hard and created where we are now. So that's something you should feel really good at, because, when the year started, it didn't matter what you ranked in the preseason or what people were saying about you. You still have to go earn it.
To build off of that for a second, I guess, for you as a coach, how is it different now? You're not playing the underdog role, you're the favorite. You're not, the team nobody's heard of, you're on everybody's radar. How does that make the coaching challenge different?
Well, that's all due respect to the media. That's more of a media thing, the underdog favorite thing. I mean, Stephen F. Austin, as we just talked about, has won 28 consecutive games. So they're obviously a terrific team, and when the ball goes up, there is no label on your shirt that says underdog or favorite or even 5 seed or 12 seed. So, we just, the biggest thing is getting our players prepared for the game itself and the particulars of the game itself. What goes into winning on the offensive end and on the defensive end against that specific opponent.
To kind of piggyback on that, how big of a deal is it in regards to the seeding? I mean, this is the second straight year you guys are a 5 seed. Is that really a big deal for you guys, or is it just something that we need to kind of just talk about a lot?
Well, I mean, you do the best you can in the regular season and your conference tournament to get yourself the best seed you can. But then, once your conference tournament ends, it is what it is, and you just kind of sit there and wait and watch and see what happens. And then when your name is called and you see what seed you are and you see you're going to San Diego and you see who you're playing, then you start preparing for the game. I've always said the seed is much less important than the matchup. There's been years, not so much for us at VCU, but where you look at teams and you say, not a great seed, but pretty good matchup, or vice versa. Like I saw, like Louisville's a 4 seed. Wow. Those guys are ridiculous. But, so whoever that 13 is that play, I don't know, like, wow, you earned a 13 seed and you get Louisville, the defending champs, who's playing as well as anybody. So it's more about that, the matchup part of it. And then, for us, we play Stephen F. Austin, who is obviously playing terrific basketball. They're on a heck of a roll. So it is going to be a challenging matchup, and, our job is to get our guys ready and understanding what it's going to take to beat them.
Coach, you mentioned the disappointment yesterday of the loss, and then how everyone kind of went nuts during the selection show. How much easier does that make it to kind of turn the page and start fresh when that happens after a disappointing loss? It's kind of different.
I think it depends on the guy. Most of our guys are pretty resilient. As a coach, you just got to kind of make yourself turn the page. It's challenging, but we're in the NCAA tournament with a game on Friday and an exciting opportunity. So if you can do what's next, which is what Oliver Purnell always used to tell me, do what's next, then what's next is pretty exciting, and there's a lot of work and preparation that needs to go into getting ready for that game.
Chuck, how much pressure do you think your guys feel to repeat 2011, and maybe more so Rob and Javonte, just because this is their last chance?
I don't think there's a lot of that. I think it's more we want to extend our season as far as we can, and we want to win, and then if we're able to win, we want to keep winning. So I don't think there's a whole lot of pressure that those guys for Drew and Rob. If anything, it would be more the next class, Briante and Trey and Jared, in particular Briante and a little bit Trey. Just they came on the heels of that, so they weren't on that team, that 2011 team. So those guys have made some comments about, hey, we want to make a run or be a part of a run ourselves. But I don't think it's a pressure, like we have to do it. I think it's something that they want to go for.
Is a sense of urgency something that you think would work for Javonte or against him?
It depends on the situation. I think clearly yesterday he really cared and wanted to do well. So it might have been working against him a little bit. You know, maybe he needed to let go a little bit. So it just depends with him. But, you know, he is a resilient guy, and he's a talented kid, and we'll turn the page from conference tournament. Obviously, he didn't play the way he wanted to play, but now he's got a new opportunity.
Rob's probably on his best stretch of games the last 2 weeks of the season. Is that the urgency that he feels to kind of get the most out of this last couple of games?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's playing like a senior who knows his career is going to end in a matter of weeks. So he's had. I think your question about Javonte applies to Ra. I think the sense of urgency is really good for him, and I think you've seen more of that lately.
Do you have an update on Melvin at all?
He's getting an MRI this morning, so we'll get the results on that soon.
I guess watching the game, that's a big chunk of the offense you guys are missing. How do you try to recreate that, or who do you lean on to maybe give you that?
Just other guys got to step up. I mean, there's no Melvin Johnson that you pull off the bench. You know, other guys have to step up and you know, find other ways to score. We certainly missed them yesterday, but injuries are part of the game. I mean, we're not the only team in America that had a guy get hurt. In fact, knock on wood, we've been pretty fortunate with that overall. So, you know, hopefully he'll be back soon.
The timing of it, and you mentioned injuries always happening, but the timing of it right before the tournament, do you have time to get a new cohesion, you know, get everybody together and on the same page without his contributions?
Well, we did in the GW game. I mean, I thought the guys regrouped really well when he went down and got hurt, and you know, we won that game by 19 points without him, which I think was pretty good against a team that I think they were like an 8 seed. So it depends on the game. You just gotta have guys that step up, and again, there's not a duplicate of him that you can put in the game. You just need your other guys to make strides.
Coach, is there like a kind of, as a player and a coach, is there kind of like a different feeling that comes with March Madness? I mean, a different, maybe I don't like to say increased excitement level, because I know you guys are excited about every game, but you know, it's kind of like, you know, basketball Christmas. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's got to be exciting.
There's definitely an increased excitement level, and like I said, I mean, we all grew up watching the NCAA tournament and being excited about March Madness, and you know, when you're a kid, you fill out the bracket and all that stuff. So I think that there's definitely an excitement, and again, our guys are a little spoiled, but if you've been a part of a season where you didn't make it, then you know the other side of it, which is you feel like you're left out of the party, and that's a bad feeling. So you know, I think it's really exciting, and I was hoping that we would get a Friday game for a couple reasons. One, just an extra day to prepare and get our guys some rest. We played 3 consecutive days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But two, you know, I do think it's good to be able to watch a little bit on Thursday. By watch, I mean on TV for our guys, and just kind of it's a good feeling, you know, watching NCAA tournament games and these high-level games and high-level teams, and you know, as a player, you feel like, you know, we're part of this, and we're excited about the opportunity to see if we can advance.
Coach, when you prepare for a team that you haven't faced or not too familiar with, how do you balance, I guess, in regards to you watching more video of the opponent as opposed to practicing on the floor more? Or where's the balance with that?
Both. I mean, we'll watch a lot of video. I'm glad to be out of the A-10. You know, it's this time of year, you know, all these coaches are politicking about how their league is, and, you know, the guys that take shots at other leagues, I think there's a lack of humility there. But it is a great league. I mean, it was a terrific, I think, record-breaking season for the A-10. And not only that, but we just happened to play almost all the best teams on the road this year. So it's nice to you know, be going and playing somebody outside of your league, but then again, you look at what they've done. Stephen F. Austin's done, and they've won 28 straight games. So it's one of those things where you got to be careful what you wish for. So we'll watch a ton of tape as a staff. We'll show the guys a normal amount of tape that we would show for any prep. And, yeah, we'll get on the practice court and certainly do a lot of preparing for what they're going to do on both ends.
Today, I was gonna say today and tomorrow, we're talking about the video work. I mean, do you stay in there just like all day at night, kind of watching video?
We were in there pretty late last night when we got back, and yeah, we're not practicing today. So yeah, we'll spend the majority of the day watching a lot of tape on them.
As an A-10 guy, how exciting was it to see Dayton make the field, and you know, since they were the kind of wild card, and you know, with all the comments, Mike Krzyzewski saying that the ACC deserves more teams than the A-10. As an A-10 guy, just to see the respect the league is getting.
Yeah, a few things with that. First of all, if comparing your own league to someone else's league is like me saying my daughter is cuter than your daughter. Like, there's a level of bias that comes into play that you shouldn't even make those comments. Secondly, coaches are too busy to be an authority on someone else's conference. You know, I know our league really well because we've been in our league, preparing for our league, but I don't know much about anyone else's league beyond the teams we played in non-conference play. And the third thing is, the saving grace for all that is there's 9 people on a selection committee that make the decision anyway that are experts on the different conferences and the teams that make up the conference. The biggest misnomer, I think, in the NCAA tournament selection is that it's done by league. Each team is looked at as a separate entity. And it just so happens, you know, in our league that it worked out that there were 6 teams that were worthy of making the NCAA tournament. And we didn't even have someone like jump up and win the conference tournament that wouldn't have been an at-large bid. St. Joe's would have made the tournament anyway. I don't think it was even close with Dayton. They're not, you know, it's not like they were one of the last teams in. So I think everyone's just done a great job and done really terrific work in November and December to put ourselves in this position. And then the way things played out in the regular season really worked out in teams' favors. I mean, like, for Dayton to go to St. Louis and win in the last week of the regular season, that obviously gave them a huge bump in making the tournament.
You guys beat a bunch of the ACC too. So.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to take shots at other people's leagues. That's just not the way I was raised by Oliver Purnell and Billy and people like that. But that's low level.
I was going to say, do you kind of cringe when you either read comments like that or hear comments that, you know, opposing coaches kind of knock another conference for whatever reason around this time of year?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you kind of want to stand up for your league. But, you know, the funny thing is all this, like, even a lot of this league solidarity, like a Duke guy standing up for NC State, that's all self-serving too. I mean, let's be honest. Like, our league is great because it's our league. It's a lot of that. So let's just have a level of respect for each other, and let's respect the 9 people on the selection committee and the work that they put in to, picking the 68 teams in the tournament. We've been on the side of it where everyone criticized us a few years ago, so we certainly know how that feels. But we're just really fired up about having the opportunity that we have this week.